he was on a camel in the desert, and a companion said to him, so how did you come to find Islam? And his friend said he fell in love with the Arabs and then he found Islam. Well, having read that book, I realized that's what was happening to me. And I went to this lady's cement block living quarters in the Rafah refugee camp one night at Eid, during Eid. And she greeted me like this: Assalamu alaikum, fadal, fadal. And the smile on her face was so exquisite that I forgot that I was in this fallen down, terrible condition, cement block room with dirty mattresses lined up around the walls where people would sleep that night. I forgot that I was going into a place where the kitchen was not much bigger than this here, where she had 2 little cooking rings where she tried to cook for 9 people, if she had anything to cook. Because she greeted me as if it was the Taj Mahal, her home. And it made me want to smile. But it also made me angry, her smile. Because it was Ramadan. Yeah, it was Ramadan. And I said to her, I don't understand why your God makes you go hungry for a whole month. I just don't understand why, when it's already difficult for life in Gaza, why you should not drink water and why you should not eat during the day. What is your God trying to prove? And this lady in the Gaza refugee camp, she looked at me with a sweet smile in her face and she said, Sister, we fast in Gaza to remember the poor. I've told that story an awful lot of times now. But it always does something to me inside. Because I felt like a key went into a lock. And a thought came into my head. If this is Islam, I'm in. Because what I saw at that moment was a purity that was love. Sheer love. Not politics, not sectarianism, not schisms, not drones, but sheer love. I didn't know that I was on the road to Mecca myself. But last October, after many years now working as a minor Palestinian activist, just trying to be a mother and give some support, because once you've lived amongst the poorest people in the world, and once you've experienced their smiles and their hopes, and you've had them cry for your misery, you can't just walk away. So I went to Qom in Iran last October. I was there working. I was in Tehran reporting on the Al-Quds Day March. And I had one day off. And a colleague of mine said, you really should come to Qom, to the shrine of Bibi Fatima. And I want you to see it. And I went into the mosque and I did wudu, because I knew how to do it, having lived in Gaza for a while. And I went up to the shrine and I just watched the other women, what they were doing. And they all seemed to touch the shrine and then pray to Allah. So I stood there and I just said, Dear Allah, thank you very much for this journey that I'm on. I have nothing to ask because you've given me everything. Please bless Palestine. And then I sat down on the floor. And it was very busy. It was a Tuesday night, which is Pilgrim's Night. So, you know, there were children doing cartwheels and women breaking their fast on the floor. It wasn't quiet. But the second I sat down, I was somewhere else. Somewhere I'd never been before in my life. A realm of such absolute peace and tranquility and joy that I knew that above a certain point in our universe, everything's okay. That none of these worries, the things that we have going on in our heads, they don't matter at all. Because above a certain point, everything is okay. There's joy and tranquility. I sat there for a long time, and a young woman came over to me. I was in a chador, so you could only see my face. I was very curled up. And she sat opposite me. And she held my hands, and she looked into my eyes, and she said, I love you. love you. I'd never seen her before. I just felt at that moment that she was my sister and my daughter, and I was her aunt and her grandmother. I can't really explain the love that went between us, but it was something almost fierce. And then she backed away from me and she went. And I understood the love that is the Ummah. And they did what 8 and 10-year-olds do. They went to their bedroom and made a list of questions. And then they came up to me and they said, here are the questions. When you're a Muslim, will you still be mummy? That was question 1. And I said, yes, when I'm a Muslim, I will still be mummy. In fact, I suspect I will be an even better mummy. And they gave a little tick. And there's a question number 2. Will you smoke when you're a Muslim? I had to think about that one, because I know a lot of Muslim people smoke. But I thought, this is such a big change. Why not go for the whole thing? Really cleanse yourself out as you're cleansing your spiritual being out. So I said, I won't smoke. And they said, great. And the third question was, when you're a Muslim, will you drink alcohol? And I said, when I'm a Muslim, I will never drink alcohol again. To which my daughters replied rather worryingly, hooray! Make of that what you will. And the final question, just to show you how pure children are, is this. When you're a Muslim, will you wear low-cut tops? I said, what have they been hearing at school about Islam? I said, no, when I'm a Muslim, I will always have this area of my body covered up. And they said, we love Islam. My mother was slightly more difficult to persuade. I told her about the experience at Qum, and she was crying. And she said, that's beautiful, to have a spiritual experience with God. You know, that's amazing. And the next week I saw her, and I had a scarf on. And she said, what have you got that on your head for? And I said, well, remember that conversation we had, Mum? I'm a Muslim. And she went very dangerously quiet. And she looked at me and went, Muslim. Muslim. I thought you said Buddhist. Muslim. What, those nutters? I said, yes, Mum, those nutters. And then I sent her chocolates and flowers and letters, and I apologized for everything I'd ever done before, because I finally understood what it was to be a daughter, because I was reading the Quran. And now she thinks that Islam is a religion for nutters who love their mothers. And alhamdulillah, she's half right. Thank you very much for listening. Please give generously this evening.